Hi, hello. Welcome to Common Man's Cricket Show. In this show, we are going to talk about cricket around the world. So, I have Rajesh and Prasanna with me. Welcome to the show, Rajesh. Prasanna.
Thanks, Puneet.
Yep.
Yes.
Hello.
So, what are you guys thinking about the test season going on around the world? There are a lot of test matches going on.
It's getting interesting, isn't it? We all know we have been following BGT. India is leading 1-0, but is likely to go down in the second test by the looks of it. And around the world, the surprise has to be with New Zealand because they came to India, dominated India, whitewashed them, and going back to home and started losing to England. So that that is a surprise. But some of the very good performances from Harry Brook and Jacob Bethel, who are outperforming their New Zealand players in their home yard. So that's interesting. And again, South Africa versus Sri Lanka. There was no other way for me. At least I expected the result to go the way it is going right now. South Africa taking the charge in the second test as well. So, in terms of WTC points, very interesting in the points table. India is on top right now, but Australia's, even though they are in third position, I guess, and they still are in a strong position to make a comeback. If all they have to do is start with the win in the second test match and go on to win the next two, which isn't a very hard thing to do in Australia for them at least. It is a tough hill for India looking at the chances because they have to win two more tests at least. But what's in favor of them is the other teams like New Zealand, who had a strong chance to finish in top two, and even Sri Lanka. Both are not doing that well. So, in that aspect, I think India still stands a chance. But apart from that, I think it looks like Australia and South Africa might just jump in and take over. Is what I feel. That's my take on it.
Yeah, that's a great observation in terms of the probabilities, what you've been mentioning, even though I'm not avidly following it. But I still feel that a 3-1 result would benefit India because, regardless of other results, I think a 3-1 on our favor should be good to go for finals. I think even though if we're losing the second game, we can still go and win 2 out of 3 games, which is coming next. I still feel that we have a strong case. We might not give up that easily because same thing happened last WTC also, right? If you remember, we had to win like last cycle, last games, we had to win everything after the percentage came into picture all of a sudden during the mid of WTC cycle. If you remember, it wasn't the case first when they started, and then all of a sudden our percentage wasn't good, and then they asked us to win all the test games. I think it was in Australia also, and also in India, we had to win like a series of games, which we did, and then stormed to the finals. So I still have a hope, even though our batting looks bleak. That is a separate topic itself. But I still have hope that we have a knack of turning things around at least till reaching finals. Winning finals is a different story. We don't know what's going to happen, but we have a good habit of reaching finals. So I still have
Yeah, but
hope.
the
3-1
difference
is
this time
possible.
is we'll have to do it in Australia, right? And I
Yeah.
think see the thing is with Australia, it is good until you find Labuschanes and Steve Smiths out of form, but it looks like they are all getting into rhythm, which is a dangerous sign if you ask me. Not to talk about Hazelwood, Starks, and Bolans, who are actually the reason why India is not doing that well. The reason why India is actually getting outperformed in the second test at least. So
Yeah.
it's not like to like comparison maybe, but you're right. India does have a knack to reach the finals at least.
Yeah.
Let's hope we'll save her heartbreak until then.
I know, I know. And to add on to it, right, I think we are not worried that much worried about Smith and Labuschagne than Travis Head right now. That guy is giving like entire phantom nightmare every time when he walks in. And it's evident on the players' faces itself. You saw what happened with Siraj and Head today. At least I was able to see it like live. And then it was like too much to even see it. I felt it was too much. So, yeah, you're right. In a way, yeah.
Yeah, it was like last decade Lakshman for Australia. This time, Travis said for India. He did everything like against India, including World Test Championship and ODA World Cup. Now the pink ball test. Like almost it was a even match. Now when he started hitting all those like runs and all, now
Yeah.
Australia is are high now. So just to summarize the World Cup, World Test Championship, Sri Lanka had a chance, but I mean, uh, even they were playing well in this Test match against South Africa, but looks like now they will be losing the match, and yeah, pretty much South Africa going to make this. That's what it's look like because they have next two matches in home against Pakistan. So considering Pakistan form, maybe they will be making it. And yeah, again it comes to India and Australia. So if India wins, definitely a chance. Yeah, we have to look out for BGT series. Most of the things are in Indians' hand. So coming back to BGT, there are a lot of things to talk about. The first and foremost is like how is Rohit Sharma's captaincy? First test match, we saw about like Bumrah's one. Now something like is it working? Rohit Sharma's captaincy, like because considering last three matches against New Zealand, what are we thinking on that?
Over to you, Rajesh, first.
No, 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 no. I'm waiting to hear from you. Go ahead.
I feel that, I mean, I can be outspoken, but I just want to keep it light. I feel that Bumrah should be continuing as captain because you see different in the behavior of players in the field. Like you see shoulders drop quite easily. I saw it, like I could even show the clip. I saw shoulders drop quite easily when Travis' head was going on, which didn't happen when Bumrah was, soaring to go because he was taking the attack. He was like ruthlessly taking the attack to them with his bowling because he's a bowler. Of course, he had that advantage, but he kept on. And you remember how he reacted when he got out Travis' head. You don't see Bumrah acting that aggressively. He shouted on his face, and then he had that much of aggression that you see in Siraj and Kohli. So it means a lot to him to get a particular batter that will change the course of the match, which I don't see that much with Rohit Sharma. He's undoubtedly a great captain, but test captaincy is a completely different ball game, isn't it? So it's not like to like with white ball, and I think he should make way himself both with batting and captaincy because he's 37 now, if I'm not wrong. So I think it's time for a fast bowler captain to grace the game for us. He's really great. He's showing potentials. I wouldn't call him the greatest test captain, but he's showing a lot of potential. So yeah, that's my point.
I would sort of tend to agree with you right now because if a few days ago I think I still firmly believed there was no need for us to consider anybody else as a captain with Rohit leading the charge at the moment at least. But yeah, it's safe to say that at least with the recent decision making, especially when Travis Head was getting a go in test matches, it was disheartening to see not have slips, which is where I think we at least lost a couple of opportunities there. And that sort of a defensive mode in test matches, I don't. I never expected Rohit to do that. To be honest, I always thought he was an aggressive captain who took the right decisions at the right time. But yeah, somewhere I think there is a lack of judgment now. And given how Bumrah led the charge in the first game, it's safe to say that yeah, at least in the first two games, he's been the better captain. And potentially, in the long run, yes, he's still going to be in the captaincy list. But my only concern is how is he going to handle the load because he's right now the player who's carrying the Indian team's burden, right? And it's I don't think anybody else is going to have a debate about it at all. We've spoken it in this very channel before. Without Bumrah, the team is not what it is right now, right? And it doesn't seem like a champion side at all. The only person making all the difference is Bumrah at the moment. There is no shame in admitting it. And if you put the load of captaincy on him, how he's going to take it, how it's all going to turn out is something that's running in my mind. But on the topic, I think yeah, Bumrah has done a good job two test matches we've seen so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
some
mean,
great.
sometimes, yeah, go ahead, Prasanna.
No, no, that's some great points. I totally agree with it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes like the captaincy also, performance also, it will increase for the some of the players like Kohli. Maybe they are very good at those. Like I saw in those lines with Bumrah as well. Yeah,
Yeah, I was about to say that
maybe
because if you looked at the last match declaration, he was like itching to go on the field. That's a sign of a captain looking to make a difference for the team on that particular day because he wanted to get that 2 wickets, which he eventually did. I think we got 2 or 3 wickets on that day. 3 wickets, is it? Uh,
3-3. Yeah,
the night watchman also got out. Yeah.
yeah,
So
performance.
it
Yeah,
was we just had like 5, 7 hours bowled, and then he was itching. He was waiting for Kohli's century, and then immediately he wanted them to back, and then he went at it, and he was like unplayable. So I
See,
think he will
there's
thrive under pressure. I think he will thrive under pressure. That's what I'm coming to say.
no, there is a bit of a difference in opinion there for me at least. Thing is, doing well in one match, having the entire world back you while doing it is a different story. Now, the actual pressure comes in when one or two failures come your way, and you start hearing all the negativities from outside the world and how you handle it. That's when the players' characteristics are judged in a better way, right? So Bumrah has not come to that point yet. He's always seen the success as a captain. I think he's only done it a couple of times. So it's sort of not the right judgment to do when all things are going your way. So that's it. Like I said, right? I mean, Indians tend to get really aggressive when there is a failure. And let's assume that he goes on in the final and does the same thing, ends up in the wrong side. You would see all the backlash against Bumrah, single-handedly going against him. So that sort of a pressure soaking in is when your characteristics are properly judged. And I don't think Bumrah is there yet.
Yeah, we'll probably know once if he's given enough chances, at least for time being, to improve. But
Exactly.
coming at the last cycle of World Cup when the final spot is at stake, yeah, it does make a sense whether to change it right now with Rohit helming it almost for 90%. So it's a tricky call. Maybe after WTC, if we change, no one's going to ask because Rohit itself might not be there, at least as far as my opinion, he's not going to be there after the cycle ends. So, yeah, it's a tough call,
yeah. We
definitely.
wanted to quickly cover. Coming back to Rahul is opening the in he started in opening slot, and one more person we wanted to talk about, Nitish Kumar Reddy. So he's playing test as T20s, like all the sweeps, all of that. So yeah, just yeah. What are your thoughts? Like, is he fitting for the batting all rounder or bowling all rounder? What are your thoughts on those 2 points?
Yeah, I think KL should continue to open. That's the first thing. Uh, Being Rohit is difficult. He has sacrificed it for his spot. That is a good act by the captain. But him batting in middle order all of a sudden in Australia with these conditions in pink ball against the likes of Stark is going to be difficult. It's not easy. And Rohit is giving that sacrifice to KL because he has proven himself time and again in Sena countries. So I think KL definitely deserves it, and I would want that to continue, even though it doesn't matter if he's failing a couple of times. That's about KL, and yeah, SHV should be there on top. So this opening works for me, even though it failed today. So, but the other thing is Nitish Kumar Reddy. Yeah, he looks exciting, but we have seen this kind of players come and go. I don't know what happened to Sarfaraz. I didn't follow him that closely. Like he was projected as the next Rishabh or like the next aggressive guy to take on any kind of bowling in any kind of attack, and all of a sudden he's not in the scheme of things. And we have seen like aggressive players, but not. I don't know. We'll have to see if he's gonna stay there forever. I think the one person who did successfully was Rishabh Pant, regardless of the conditions and the opposition. He took on the attack, played fearless shots, did all the scoops, and played crazy 360-degree shots, which Nitish is trying to emulate right now, because the commentators even say that this is the kind of Rishabh Pant innings which he's playing. So he has made a brand out of himself, Rishabh Pant, and it's good that another player is trying to emulate it. We definitely need such players, but long run we'll have to wait and see. I think it's a good prospect, but too early to call if he's going to be there forever.
Yeah, I agree with most of what Prasanna put out. To begin with, KL Rahul, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in the second test, he did not have that much of a success, but the first one, he definitely did show that he still got the game in him. Second one is difficult because both the times when he batted, the ball seemed to do a bit, so it wasn't as easy as you would expect it to be. With the pink ball, it does move a little, I guess. So fair enough. But you do expect a lot from KL. I think he did miss a trick where he could have put Team India in a better position than it is right now. Coming to Nitish Kumar Reddy, it is always good to see aggressive brand of cricket when it's walking. Uh, but do you play Test cricket that way? I still would question it. uh, Nevertheless, you can't take away the sort of counter attack that he did at the time of he was playing down the order when wickets were falling all around him. So that counter attack is always appreciated. But uh, Test cricket is still a Test cricket. You would want to see a solid defense in action, which probably lacks it, but he makes up for it with the aggression that he's shown. Not everybody can be punt. Not everybody can come walk in the first ball and advance and hit the ball. That's not everybody's game. But if you have it, why not use it? So yeah, I agree. Nitish Reddy does have the potential, but I would still, as a Test cricket, would like to see a solid defense over a first ball going at once and hit like six. Doesn't.
Yeah. Coming back to this Safraz Khan, like looks like the fielding wise is lacking something, so he's not able to keep up as like fast as others. That's what something keeping him.
Like I had loads of runs in domestic, and then he finally made it to test, and he did fine. I think in the couple of opportunities he's been given to bat, I think he did fine. It's very unfair,
Mhm.
at least in my opinion.
Yeah, with bat is
See,
good. I
I
mean,
think
if you see,
his. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, with like one of the training session, like his catching position, all of that were like Kohli, Pant were laughing at him. I mean,
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
eh,
that. Yeah,
yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Rajesh.
Yeah, so the problem I saw with Sarfraz was in his home turf, that is in Mumbai, the third test match. He's very familiar playing there, and he had a very good opportunity, but comes in, hits a slog sweep on full toss, and hands it over at the deep square, walks back. So that sort of a temperament for a guy who scored so heavily in domestic was something disheartening to see. And I believe people have if it was me, I would have asked him to go back, work on his temperament a bit more, play according to the situation. Not every that's where I say that test match is still a test match. It can't it lasts for 5 days. You can't come in and hope to finish it in a session and go back home. That's not how it works, right? So that sort of a approach is something that he needed to work with, I guess. And I'm pretty sure the coaching staff would have probably had a word with him, which is where he's back in the domestic right now and is starting to work on it. But when you get, it's not rare, it's very, sorry, I mean, it's very rare to get those opportunities in in such big occasions playing for India. When you don't make use of it, when you have potential and you screw up, that it does, you have to feel for him. But yeah, hopefully the guy is good. There's no doubt he's got the potential. So hoping that he'll get his chance. Given the way Virat and Rohit are going, it's not too far away, is what I would say.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I agree to that. I agree to that. But only thing which I would beg to differ is with the emergence of T20 being the form of cricket right now, which I don't agree, but that's how it is being projected because we have to get into Olympics and all that. There's a lot of business branding and all those stuff involved, which is making cricket commercial nowadays. So, but I statistically, last 2 years, I noticed that 90% of the test matches doesn't even go to fifth day. And at one point of time, I think there were discussions when Kohli was captaining to reduce the test match to 4 day games, and I think Kohli was very vocal against it, if I remember it right. And now, if you ask anyone, I think there might be a reconsideration because how many games you see going to fifth day? most of the games are getting over in third day, and we don't see any more Pujaras and Rahanes or Rahul Dravid. We all see is Travis Head and Rishabh Pants. They are taking the T20 game into tests, putting up the lead, and then the bowlers are just taking the game away from the opposition. That's how the test is being played right now, which I totally agree with Rajesh. That's how it's not supposed to be played. But the game has changed, and players should evolve, and that's why I'm saying we should back this kind of players. But how they go in the long run, we'll have to wait and see. We need players like Travis Head, which again Nitish Kumar Reddy and Sarfaraz can be, but they'll need proper backing.
Yeah, it's very rare to see draw matches. Like we used to say, okay, getting a result in the test match was like most of the time was like, wow, the strong team will get the win, something like that. But nowadays, it's like again, it's becoming a T20 kind of format, even played in the test match.
Test
So
match.
overall, in Indian test team perspective, they are going with horses for courses. So first match it was Washington Sundar. Now it was like Ravichandran Ashwin, and yeah, they've backed up KL Rahul as opening slots. So is it going good in that terms?
I'd have to agree. I mean, maybe the result does not speak for it, but you can't leave somebody like KL, who is a proper test batsman for all regards, and you would want to see him in any playing test team, and he's shown that, right. He's got the game yet. Yeah, that is fine. It's still a bit hard to understand what is the thinking behind switching between Ashwin and Sundar. Uh, but it looks like, Ashwin. I mean, it didn't seem to work. It's just about what works and what, because in the third test match again, in India against New Zealand, Sundar was included over Ashwin, and no, Ashwin was still there, but Sundar was included out of the blue, and he was the best player to bring in throughout that series, in fact. So it's just about what works when you take a risk, and I think this time it hasn't worked, and you sort of expect that in Australia it's not going to turn a lot. So it doesn't really matter who you bring. So I think they decided to go with a more experienced spinner who could probably bring in some variations. With Ashwin, you do expect that. So they wanted somebody to go and experiment a bit as well, and most likely that's the thinking behind including him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because they are looking at Washington Sundar for long time option after Ashwin goes, because it's not long too, right? He might probably not continue after this cycle, so which is coming shortly, and they want, it's not a like to like replacement, but they want a youngster to take upon himself, uh, and they are looking Washington Sundar for long term. So I think his inclusion is okay, but few decisions I am like flummoxed. I don't know like why they are doing it. For example, Devdutt Padikkal. I really didn't have any explanation of why he was there in the first place. Why he's even in Australia in the first place, playing red ball cricket, and I am not being like against him, but he wasn't able to middle the ball, at least as far as I could see, and he was not able to see the ball. And there are few decisions which they are not doing it right. I don't know if it's the coaching staff or the captain or the selector, but some things they could do well in terms of finding the next talent. That's what they're trying to do with Devdutt Padikkal, of course. With Devdutt Padikkal and Washington Sundar, they're trying to build the next gen, because Rohit, Kohli, Ashwin, even Jadeja, they're not going to be there in the next cycle. So they should probably do a little bit better. That's what I could feel.
Yeah. So those are related to series which are going on. So what are your like final, after seeing all of these, what are your final teams which will make it to WTC?
Yeah,
What is the
it's
WTC?
South Africa is given. South Africa is I see them as a fixed spot. It's either India versus South Africa or Australia versus South Africa. I'm still optimistic that it's going to be India versus South Africa. So we had success this year with them. I hope we do the same next year too. Yeah.
Rajesh?
Yeah, same thought. It would be good to see India versus Australia, India versus South Africa in WTC, but you never know. I think Australia is still a good contender to be in the top two. So I don't know. I still have my thoughts about India and Australia playing it out. I think Australia does have an edge. Uh, but yeah, one team looks a strong contender is South Africa right now. So one of the top two will be South Africa. Between India and Australia, I think Australia might take the edge.
Nice.
Yeah,
Practically
like
spoken.
little like we are dependent on Sri Lanka now, because if they make somehow they make win against South Africa and against Australia, they have two test matches in their home. I mean Sri Lanka. If something, if they win those two, then it's very straightforward for India. So it's like, even though they are not in the contention now, but yeah, maybe Sri Lanka will help us to go to WTC.
Do you
Yeah.
want that?
So
I mean, the question is, would you want India to go to WTC and
No, no.
you
We
know?
go on our terms, just like last time. I don't want that, and I don't see Sri Lanka winning against Australia or South Africa. Looking at how they're playing right now, but yeah,
no,
miracles can happen. But yeah,
definitely no. I support Sri Lanka because it's not about India will get advantage from that. If you see the second test match against South Africa, it's like somehow they were very close, and yeah, because of 3 wickets in 1 over, yeah, it made a difference. But definitely there is something like looks like they are coming as a previously how the Sri Lanka team was looking. So because of Sanat Jayasuriya, all of that, you have observed, right? Like against India, all of that, they played well. In home condition, definitely we can expect at least 1-1. I would expect 1-1 with Australian series. Yeah, these are like overall discussion about test matches. So if you're liking our content, please like, share, and subscribe. As usual, like you can be part of our show. Just let us know by comment. So thank you all. Uh, Take care. Bye bye.
everyone, thank you all. Thanks,
Thank
Manish.
you, guys.